the greatest love of all. We're continuing our series today on the book Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And it's an opportunity today, we're going to think about loving ourselves. Isn't that kind of the greatest love of all, that we can start by loving ourselves so that we can love others more? And sometimes in this contemporary culture of consumerism, we get bombarded by a lot of messages that we don't have enough, we don't do enough, and we don't be enough. And there's something that we need to buy that will make us lovable. And most of the messages that we get are in the form of marketing. Now, I know, there's some actually positive marketing out there, but some of that marketing is evil. I'm going to give you the 4 basic steps of marketing. First, identify a need. Well, actually, we kind of fudge on that one a bit. We either identify a need that already exists, or we create a need. Do we really need a chia pet? You do now. Number 2 is we create a product or service that satisfies that particular need. And then third, we clearly identify what are the rewards of buying this product or service, and what are the consequences for not making that purchase. And the 4th step is a sense of urgency. If you don't buy it today, the sale's going to be off. But wait, there's more. Get it today and we'll give you 2 additional free CDs. Marketing, it works so well. Let's take the Olive Garden, for instance. The Olive Garden has identified a need that we need unlimited breadsticks. Or maybe they've created a need, I don't know. And so they developed this product and this place where you go and you get these unlimited breadsticks. And the reward of being at Olive Garden is when you're there, you're family. And I guess when you're not there, you're not family. So if you really want to be included and have that sense of warmth and love and unlimited breadsticks, you need to get down to Olive Garden today. And if you get there before Sunday, there's an extra Groupon that will give you half off, and you'll get extra pasta and extra cheese and extra carbohydrates that I'm sure we need. Marketing is a very insidious thing. Sometimes it's happening, and we may not even know it. And the reason that I feel confident in talking about marketing is that I have a dirty little secret. I was a marketer. In the 90s, I sold stuff to people that they didn't really need. And at the height of my career, I ran an entire department that sold long distance to college students. That's all we did. It was kind of like selling air. And I had a whole team of people that all we did was sit around and figure out how we could get college students to talk more. It was so much fun. And it was so easy. Anybody have a long-distance romance when you were in college? Thank you so much. We would go to the college campuses right at the beginning of the year when that sense of the love that you left behind was still warm in your heart. And just like any kind of pusher, we would give you 30 minutes free. And a free t-shirt as well. What more could you ask for? And so we gave you a calling card. And you said, just call as much as you want. You can pay us later. And so we developed a business that actually ended up generating $139 million a year by college students calling long distance and spending money that most of them didn't have. young love. It paid my bonus many years. And so we get caught up in this marketing that is all around us, that is trying to convince us that there is something wrong with us, that there's something lacking that we need to buy, or we need to have, or we need to do in order to be lovable. And sadly, there's actually a term called the Hallmark holiday. Do I need to apologize? Anybody in advance? If you work at Hallmark, I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm sure it's a great job, but in fact, if you look it up in the dictionary now, there is a term called a Hallmark holiday, which is for those holidays that are simply made up so that we have another reason to spend money. Did anybody miss the sweetest day? Wait. It's coming up. You still have time for it. It's celebrated on the third Saturday of October. Even in Detroit, it's a law. It is described by the Retail Confectioners International as an occasion which offers us all an opportunity to remember the sick, the aged, the orphaned, but also friends and relatives and associates whose happiness and kindness we have enjoyed and that we can repay with candy. Third Saturday in October, I'm looking for some jelly beans. So we have this all around us, sending a signal that there is something not quite right with us. And in fact, religion does the same thing. When we think about some of the ways that religion is marketed to us, we can think about religion in these 4 steps. This first way that we need to, 1, identify a need or create a need. Guess what? We're all sinners. That's God calling to tell you you're a sinner. And not only that, a little hint from a marketer, the way that you have to make sure that you're going to make the biggest amount of impact is you want to broaden your audience. You want to have the biggest target market you can. So when I say you're a sinner, I mean every single one of you are sinners. Even babies are sinners, because then we get to have everybody that is breathing is a sinner. And so some religions do this in order to create the need. And then we have to have a product or service in order to be able to satisfy this need or fix this thing that is wrong with you. And so we have salvation. I've got so much salvation for you. If you'll just give me some money, I will save you, and then I will tell you what's wrong with you, and then I will save you again. It's just the greatest system in the world. It has worked for centuries. That we can use guilt and the unsurety that we have about ourselves to sell religion. And there's rewards. Everybody knows about heaven, right? Now, you're not going to get it right now. This is the best kind of marketing tactic whatsoever. First, you buy it, and then later you're going to get the reward. But heaven is wonderful. It's whatever you want it to be. But it's not going to happen until after you die. And if you did not buy this product of salvation, bad news, guys. Hell. And hell is described as burning and awful and evil, and it's the worst thing you can possibly think of. Like if you really hated Barry Manilow records, you would be in hell listening to Barry Manilow for the rest of your life. And so some religions will sell this idea that we are sinners and we need salvation. There are rewards and consequences. And oh yes, that fourth step, a sense of urgency. Buy it now. In fact, this year, buy it before December 23rd, right? Because the world is coming to an end. Or there's the rapture, or Armageddon, or all this bad stuff is happening. It's all a sign that we need to do something about our salvation today. Act immediately. Buy now, and you can have 2 salvations for the price of 1. Many of us have had these kinds of thoughts and beliefs told to us for many, many years. And so the work that Byron Katie does is asks us to look carefully at what we've been told to be true. And so she asks you to ask 4 questions. First, is it really true? The thought that we are all sinners? And the second question, how would we know for sure, absolutely, that it is true? And the third question is, when we have that thought, how do we react? And the fourth, what would we be without that thought? And so I thought it would be wonderful to look at these 4 questions within the context of the way the Fillmores decided to turn spirituality on its head. Charles Fillmore was actually a pretty good marketer himself, but he did it in a completely different way. First of all, he and Myrtle identified a need, and that need was that we all need love and healing. And so how can we satisfy that need? They built a spiritual community where you could come together and we could support each other and we could love each other in whatever way we felt was our spiritual path. To be in this place where we say daily, where diversity is praised and peace and harmony are the rewards, that we can be in a place where we can come together as a spiritual community and we don't have to believe exactly the same way. How awesome is that? And the rewards are simply peace of mind, an innate sense of well-being that each and every one of us have the ability to have. There was one thing they missed, though. They forgot the 4th step of any sense of urgency. You decide. Whenever you're ready to walk your spiritual path, we'll be here. The offer never expires. And I thought what we would do for the meditation today is that we would go through these set of questions, but also go through a visualization of loving kindness. Because I think what Charles and Myrtle were trying to tell us is that we do have everything within us in order to be innately good, innately kind, innately wise. And so they came up with these 5 truth principles that we can reflect upon, and you can decide what they mean to you. And the first is that there is one power and one presence in the universe, this great potential that we all have access to. Some people call it God, but you can call it whatever you want. The second is that we all have that spark of divinity within us. Right now, nobody's having to give it to you. You don't have to go buy it. You don't have to find it somewhere. It is in you in this exact moment. We have that connection to the divine and the ability to manifest loving kindness, compassion in our life. And the third is that our thoughts create our reality. And if you don't think that's true, then it's not. The fourth is the power of prayer and meditation. And that is what is so powerful for me when we come together and have this time to sit in meditation together, to support and encourage each other by sitting in the silence. And the last thing that Charles and Myrtle came up with that they believed was true was that it was so not enough to just talk about it, that we had to practice it each and every day. So as we go into meditation, I encourage you to just think about these 5 truth principles and what you may or may not have thought about what was religion growing up. And that maybe we can find a way within each of us to love ourselves more and to be more loving and supporting of each other. And we'll work on that in the meditation, in the silence.